Today on the channel we're going to build the 45th anniversary model from Tamiya on the TA02 short wheelbase chassis. Make sure you stick around, it's an epic build and I cannot wait to get it done. Welcome back to the channel. We have built the 45th anniversary kit from Tamiya on the TA02 short wheelbase chassis. I think it's come out absolutely fantastic. Hopefully you enjoyed that little sneak peek there on the intro. But like I said, today's video we're going to build it, retrospect build because I've already built it. So I'll do some voiceovers on some of the things that I changed, similar to some of the things that I think Tamiya probably could have done better. So we'll flick over to some build footage while I explain the process and sort of highlight some of the parts of the build to get us to this state here. Now, big shout out to Tamiya to making a special anniversary kit. This one came out on 47477, and being a 4.7 kit, it is obviously a limited run. Now, I think a lot of these will probably end up staying in the box rather than being built just because of the anniversary sort of title. But realistically, I don't know how limited they are because there seems to be a lot of them for sale, and even my local hobby shop, Frontline Hobbies here in Newcastle, received an absolute huge amount of these, and I don't think they have even sold them all yet. So I think the supply on this one's really good from Tamiya, and a bit unfortunate that they haven't been so good on their other suppliers for other kits. So let's move on to the build and we'll run through the build and basically show you how we get to this stage. But I think it's an absolutely beautiful car and I cannot wait to get the next video out where we're going to take it for a run. Before we do get on to doing some of the build video there, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, chuck us a thumbs up and a like. We've got lots of other videos and more videos to come. We've got a whole series on a TT02, both on-road and the buggy version. We've got a nice little poll in the community tab. So far everyone wants a buggy version to be built, so we're probably going to head down that avenue first. So first up we're going to go through the build. Obviously this car is a front and rear gearbox that's sandwiched together with two nice sort of FRP decks there. So ultimately the first step that we're going to do is we're going to go and start off with the rear gearbox. Now the rear gearbox itself has a ball diff, universal shafts, and as you can see I went for the grey gear cases just for something different, titanium screw sets, and in the lower arms there the stainless steel pins with the C-clips just for some smoother suspension movement. And I did also switch over to a Sport Tune motor with the lightweight motor mount, which is included in the kit. So we'll move on to the front gearbox. Very much similar to the rear gearbox. We basically used the silver gear cases again, titanium screws. The kit obviously does come with ball bearings, and we also put the lightweight sort of screw pins on the C-hubs, and obviously the lightweight shafts and C-clips on the lower arms. So once we got the gearbox on the front done, as you can see, we obviously have the front and rear gearbox. They look perfect. They obviously are exactly the same as a DFO1 or a Top Force sort of style gearbox, so they go together perfectly. And after we've done that, we obviously move on to putting the suspension together on the chassis. Now I've chosen to just use the standard shocks. You can get some upgraded shocks, but I opted just for some softer springs on the standard shocks, and I think it's going to be a nice alternative to the harder standard springs. So the first improvement that I did make on the chassis was with the MC5 screws. I changed those over to ball connectors on the suspension on the lower arms on front and back, and I just think that gives it a little bit better quality and improved functionality, and like I said, it just looks a little bit better as well. So I obviously repeated that on the front as well, just to lift the quality and for the other reasons. So that's the front and rear gearboxes complete on the car, and it's time to build the chassis. Now we'll head over, we've got some footage here of the chassis, FRP top and lower decks, all together goes together quite nicely. One thing I did find was strange was the battery is off to the right hand side of the chassis. I thought I made a mistake, but it is actually meant to be like that, and I would guess it just counterbalances the motor in the car. So I guess one thing that you may think with a special edition car, should it have been a carbon chassis? Tamiya have come out and released a carbon upgrade chassis for the kit. It's quite expensive, but then again, I think the FRP decks look absolutely beautiful, and I think by just putting the silver gear cases and the titanium screw sets, I think I've lifted the quality of the kit, and I'm very, very happy with how it's turned out. So once we get some of those FRP decks and we start putting the car together, obviously the steering comes up next. Now, as you can see here, the steering comes with a plastic shaft there. So I've upgraded that to a turnbuckle and installed that onto the car. Again, a little bit more adjustability, better quality, and probably less flex in the steering. And I would have actually thought that, again, being a special anniversary car, it probably would have had that upgraded. So next up, one of the main things I really, really like on this car is the wheels and tyres. So we've got some deep dished wheels. They look very, very nice and go together perfectly. Obviously, the rear tyres are a lot wider than the front. That's to fill the guards and give it that classic Porsche look. So up next in the build, we have to put some electronics into the car. We start off with the servo. So as you can see there, I've gone for a low profile servo, the SPT 12 kilo servo. Use them on a lot of my builds, and I've paired that up with the alloy short mounts. Again, that probably just is a better rigid servo mount, plus gives it that little bit extra quality on the build. And then after that, we throw in all of our other electronics. So as you can see there in that footage there, I've just used some basic Tamiya TBLE 02S Speedo. We've shortened up the wires and just to tidy up the chassis, and again, just bring the quality up a little bit. These are obviously leftover electronics. I've got a lot of these, so I don't mind cutting it and sort of committing it to the car. So if you're still with us, we obviously have ripped through the build. I've really, really enjoyed it. There's a few things that I haven't enjoyed. I'll get to those at the end of the video. But for now, very, very happy with how it's come out, with the few little upgrades that I've made. Suspension is super smooth. I like the look of the silver gear cases. The titanium screws definitely give it that extra quality. So let's just take it outside. Let's make sure all the electrics work. We'll dial in our speed controller. We'll dial in the steering and obviously get everything set up on our controller. So basically we've got a running car. So let's go do a quick little test drive, and I'll take you out with me. Well, I know that was only a quick little test drive outside, but I can already tell that this is going to be a special car. Handles beautifully. I like the setup of the ball diff in the rear and the gear diff in the front. Definitely got some nice maneuverability with the steering, and you can tell that it's got plenty of traction on the rear end with that ball diff and the wider tyres. So after that, obviously we have to do the body. Now, I was going to call it a day here, but I've pushed through. I ended up pushing through to about 1 a.m. in the morning to get the body done. It was a nice warm night, so I was able to get it all cut out. sat it on the car, make sure everything was fine. I then took it outside, gave it a few coats of white paint, ended up going box art. I did want to go something else, but I hadn't really seen anyone do anything different. Obviously, while we let the paint dry, I then got onto the decals, and after about 80 odd decals, we ended up with our finished product. Now, I think it's come out perfectly. Let me know what you think. So let's flip to a few little pictures of it all together, and we'll take it outside in the sunlight so we can get a very, very nice pictures of it. Okay, so that's it for the Porsche 45th anniversary build. Hopefully you enjoyed some of my tips and tricks on the build and some of the upgrades that I did. And obviously it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were some things that I were not impressed with whatsoever, and I cannot believe Tamiya basically produced a kit with this much slop. And it is to do with in particular, the rear top suspension arms. I'll flick to some footage. You can tell there's so much play in them. I was going to put some adjustable links on the top. I tried to make a setup. The angle was a bit too much. I didn't quite have all the parts to rectify it, but we will get on to doing that into the future. For the moment, I've put a few extra shims in there. It's fixed the slop a little bit, but it's not perfect. So that would be my only real criticism on the car, is that, yeah, probably a few little odds and ends like that could have been improved. And considering it is a special, it's an anniversary model, and they've gone to the sort of depths to create this beautiful body set, I was a little bit left down in that aspect of the build, plus some other areas like the ball joints and whatnot, where I did upgrade along the way. I feel that they could have been upgraded from Tamiya. Not so bad, because I do have a lot of those parts myself in stock. But yeah, I just think that they could have been done a little bit better from Tamiya. But yeah, in the end, we've got a beautiful looking kit. I know a lot of people are upset with the wheelbase on this one as well. Doesn't really bother me too much. It is a little bit out, more so on the rear. But again, I think it all looks nice. And I actually think, depending on what angle you look at the car, the rear offset does change a little bit. So yeah, for me, I'll leave it like this at this stage. We are going to use it and run it, so I'm not going to be too particular about it. So talking of running it, let's go and get a little bit of footage with it outside in the sun, just so you can see it all moving with the body shell on it. And then I think we'll wrap it up there for today's video. Once again, thanks for watching today. Much appreciated. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button to watch more videos. or some of the videos popping up around me now. Until next time, this is a beautiful kit. I'd highly recommend it, and it goes together absolutely beautifully. Cannot wait to get those TTO2 builds happening, so they'll be on the channel very, very soon. Just waiting on a few parts. So until the next video, thanks for watching.